Hello, welcome once again. So we're going to use the decomposition method of percentages to work out percentages of an amount or quantity. What I mean is this. We're going to use these rules to see which combination will help us calculate percentages of an amount or quantity. So we are supposed to work out 15% of 60 centimeters. Now if you look at your rules, if you did copy them down, what combination will make 15%? We can make 15% by talking about 10% and 5%. So let's go through step by step. 10% of a number is simply divide a given number by 10. So 60 divided by 10, that gives me 6. Now 5% tells you work out 10%, then divide it by 2. So 10% you divide the number by 10, then divide the answer by 2. So 10% is 6. 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. And you add these two to give you the 15%. So we can say 15% of 60 cm is 9 centimeters. Let's look at question 2. 11% of 92. Which combinations of the percentages we learned earlier could be added to make 11%? Is 10% and 1%. 10% rule says divide a given number by 10. So 92 divided by 10 is 9.2. 1% is divide a given number by 100. 92 divided by 100 is 0.92, and you add it up. Don't forget your placeholder, because this one is 2 decimal places, so you need 0 here. And when you add, you have 10.12 kilograms. What about 26% of 800 pounds? There are so many combinations you could use. You can do 10%, 10%, 5% and 1, or you can do 25% and 1. Whichever way, you will still get the same answer. So 25% of a number is divide a given number by 4. So 800 divided by 4, that gives us 200. 1% of a number says divide the number by 100. 800 divided by 100 is 8. So add these up, and that gives you 26%, 208 pounds. The last one, what combination makes 17.5%? So we have 10%, 5% and 2.5%. So we're going to work out all these percentages of 480. 10% divided by 10, 480 divided by 10, 48. 5% is half of 10% answer, so 48. So when you do 5% divided by 10, that gives us 48. Half 48, that will give us 24. And 2.5% is 10% answer, you divide it by 4. 10% gives us 48. 48 divided by 4 gives us 12. So we add all these three to 17.5%, and we have 84 pounds. So this is a quick way of working out percentages for the amount or quantity using the composition method with our calculator. Now, let's talk about switching percentages. 80% of 20, we're going to compare that with 20% of 80, and let's see what happens. So to do 80%, I'll first do 10%, which is divided by 10, that gives me 2 pounds. So if I know 10% is 2 pounds, 80% will be 80% of 20 will be 2 pounds times by 8, and that gives me 16. So that's the answer for the first question. Let's see what happens here. 20% of 80. 20% of 80, the rule says divide a given number by 5. 18 divided by 5 also gives us 16. So that tells us that when you switch percentages around, it produces the same answer. So you have to do what is convenient to you in an exam. So if you're given, say, 5% of 60, and if you know how to do it, that's correct. You do that, great. If you're given, say, 16% of 10, and you find it difficult, you can do 10% of 16. They still produce the same answer. So switch it around and do the one that is convenient to you. Thank you very much for watching. In our next lesson, we'll be talking about simple exam style question on percentages.